What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? This is Sean from 4GLU, 4 Geeks Like You, and you're now tuned into my review of Devil Survivor 2, Episode 4, titled Monday's Upheaval 3. So the episode starts off with Hibiki standing over Kata's body, because Kata is now dead, if you remember everything I said from Episode 3. So, he's placing the blame upon himself, because he feels that he could have prevented the death phase from occurring, but we all know that it was inevitable for Kata to die. But this is not a time to mourn, because the barrier around Osaka is down, which means that the demon is inside the city now, and the demon is like this huge, levitating, ship-like creature. And, you know, JIP's members come to where Hibiki is and they take him away and they take certain people away because it's more like you have to defend the city right now. You can't stand around and mourn. You know, they're looking at it, or what Chief Hatsuen said is that this is natural when you're in this field. You lose people. People die. But, yeah, Hibiki needs to be on the battlefield. He has one of the strongest summons there is, but he's also being blocked off from participating in the battle. At this point, we have the demon that's in the city now, and we have JIP's members that are trying to protect the demon from getting any further. So they have like these tanks and everything, and they're shooting at this demon, but the demon has these projectiles that it lets off its body, and they're like in wheel shapes. They're shaped like wheels, and they're just going down, hitting all the tanks and everything, exploding everything, and it's pretty much a wrap for everybody who tries to attack this creature. But off in the distance, we have that mysterious kid who's been looking at Hibiki's progress ever since he got Byakuya, and he's sitting there with the demon that killed Kata just now, and he's talking about how humanity, you know, the demon asked him, do you think humanity will survive this? And he's like, you know, I don't know. If this is the extent of their strength, then they're pretty much going to get wiped out. So there's two things that caught me about that. One, you don't know if this kid is actually on the side of humanity or if he's on the side of demons, because he's with a demon right now, and we don't know like what's really happening with that. And two, you don't know if he's actually human. You could say he's sort of a demon in the form of a human, mainly because he refers to humans as they, not, you know, we or us. You know, so those are two things that threw me off. I mean, he could be a summoner of demons, right? But overall, that's sort of like two things right there that sort of caught me off guard. So there are other JIP's members in the battle that are trying to help. You know, they're using their phones to summon their demons, which are like little birds that are trying to attack the demon that's attacking the city. But it really isn't doing anything. They're getting knocked away and they're getting killed, pretty much. They're dying. And people are getting like turned to dust. This creature is shooting out beams that are like destroying the whole city and turning everything in its path to dust. And the creature then does something where it powers up, and it's powering up this energy ball, but the energy ball, you could say the residual energy around the creature is giving off this power that's freezing Osaka or the area around it. So it's freezing everything around it. Basically, it froze all of Osaka. And, you know, I found this to be pretty cool because, number one, nobody's really able to harm this creature. And two, after it freezes Osaka, it then releases this energy ball which heads towards the base, the tower, which has a barrier up. But the barrier is then taken down by this beam. I mean, the beam was so powerful that it took down the barrier, leaving the base there as, not being protected. So pretty much everybody died that was in that area. Yeah, pretty much they're dead. Now, with all this death that's occurring around Hibiki, he then, you know, gets into this state of mind where he's like, you know what, F this, I'm going to the battlefield. And you have JIP's members that are there saying, you know what, it's against the orders, we can't let you go. And he then summons Byakuya, and the chief is like, you know what, you're an imbecile, like, I just told you to stay there, why are you going into battle, you know? And Hibiki's like, well, if you'd have let me go into battle, all these people wouldn't have died. So again, it makes you think, like I said earlier in the other review, Hatsuen sort of has some kind of thing about him, because he's like letting people die. He's letting things happen that can be prevented if he puts certain people in those situations to prevent these things from happening. You know, because Byakuya is a strong level demon. He could have put Byakuya on the battlefield to prevent all these things from happening. But you can also see why later on that I'll touch upon. Maybe he did it for another reason. But overall, Byakuo is summoned. Hibiki heads to the battlefield, and that's where things start to get a little interesting. So on another side of the battlefield, you have Hinako and her team of Gyps members trying to attack the creature, and they're on the offensive. And, you know, it's not doing anything to the creature at all. It's not stopping it. It's not even, like, stopping to be like, ow. It's just like, oh, okay, you guys are shooting little things at me? Okay, that's pretty cool. So, what happens is it's about to hit Hinako, and Byakuo comes in, strikes him with electricity. Hibiki's like, well, that didn't do anything, so I guess shooting electricity at this thing isn't really going to help. So, the Hinako and her team decide to switch up their strategy, and now where they were on the offense, they're on defense, and they're just basically trying to protect Byakuo now. And that really doesn't do anything because the demon shoots out a bunch of projectiles at everyone on the battlefield, you know, knocking out the demons that they summon and everything. So now you have a projectile that's heading towards Hibiki, and he's scared, he's standing there. So nobody's going to protect Hibiki right now, right? But then Byakuo takes it upon himself to jump in front of this projectile, and that's when an explosion occurs. And I want to talk about this because never has, so far, Byakuo has never took it upon itself to protect Hibiki or protect anyone at that. I started to notice that these demons did have their own set personality, because when Keita was about to fall on the needle the first time, the pipe, his demon, the Berserker, actually looked at him while he was falling, and it gave off the sense where it was like, should I keep fighting like Keita told me to, or should I go and help him? And I found that to be interesting, and I found that to be really interesting here when Byakuo took it upon itself to protect its summoner. So that was pretty cool. But, again, it really didn't do anything as far as strategy because everybody else was dead. Now, there was one other survivor, and that was Hinako, and she was really bloodied up. She's badly injured, but she didn't die. So even though it looked like she died when you're watching it, she didn't die, especially if you see the end. But, yeah, she was the only survivor left after, during the end of the battle. Now, after Hinako passes out in Hibiki's arms, the mysterious kid that I was telling you about earlier this episode, and even the one that appeared in episode 1, appears in front of Hibiki, and he introduces himself as Alcor. Now, again, you don't know what side this kid is actually standing on. If he's actually fighting for humanity and just observing these new summoners and saying, well, maybe if they prove themselves a little bit more, I'll join them. Or if he's actually on the demon side. We don't know that yet. So he's telling Hibiki that, well, Chief Hatsuen used to be my friend. Like, we were cool. And that sort of like what strikes me, because it's like, oh, well, if he is a demon, then that would mean that Hatsuen at some point was in league with demons, or at one point was cool with demons before they started attacking everything. So what's up with that? And if he isn't a demon, then that would mean that at some point maybe this kid was a Gyps member and something happened. Maybe he found out something about Hatsuen that made him separate himself from Hatsuen's command. So I found that to be really interesting when he said that him and Chief Hatsuen and himself were acquaintances at one point in time. So on the other side of the battlefield, we have Nita, who took it upon herself to leave from under Gyps' protection in their facility to go to the battlefield to fight. Now, while there, the demon is right in front of the building she's standing on, right? So it's literally right in front of her, and she decides to push out a summon. And here's where I said, like, everybody's really tapping into their hitting abilities, or really boosting their will to force these new demons to come out, or new abilities to come out, because she pushes out Megami Kikuri Hime, and it's a new summon for her, and it's sort of powerful. Just on the side note, Megami Kikuri Hime is actually, in Japanese mythology, is actually the goddess of agriculture and harvest. She's also known to be the goddess of love and marriage. So anyway, just throwing it out there. But anyway, what happened? She tries to, the new summon looks cool, and you're like, oh man, it's gonna be pretty badass. She has a new summon, but it really doesn't do anything. Again, this demon is really strong, and her summon is just, striking at it, shooting little lasers, but then it gets dismissed easily. And that's when Byakuo comes to the battlefield. So as the demon is about to fire off its last attack on Nita and some of the Gyps members, a red light comes out of nowhere. Red energy, let me say, comes out of nowhere and starts to attack the creature around its body. Here, check the scene out.
Hibiki! 魔力反応なおも増大。敵が無防備になるチャンスだ。倒せ。
Now, one of the interesting things about that scene was that Byakuo's energy is now red. Like, the chi, or the chakra around Byakuo is now red. Because it's not electricity anymore. You can say it's a new form of energy. But what I find interesting is that, Hibiki wasn't like this prior to it. Like, now he seems more serious. And it's not just a serious, like, I'm just going to the battlefield. It's like, I'm going to kill this thing. For real. And it wasn't until he met Alcor that this new energy and this new technique appeared inside Byakuo and inside Hibiki himself. Like, his character has changed a bit. Especially, it's noticeable during that one scene right there. So, I found that to be interesting. Like, you don't know if Alcor was tugging or slightly tugging at the strings behind Hibiki as a puppeteer. It looks that way, but you don't know because he just unleashed all this repressed energy, that he's been holding back on. And now it made Byakuo stronger. Not incredibly stronger. Like, he didn't get that much of a boost, but it did enough to damage this creature. So, after that scene, it looks like the creature's going down for the count, but it's not. It's still there, and it's about to turn towards Hibiki and Byakuo. But all of a sudden, it gets sliced straight down the middle by this other demon. And the demon looks sort of like a samurai. It has the hat and everything and the sword, and it puts it back. And they're like, who the heck is that? And all of a sudden, this guy appears on the field. And his name is Rolando Kuriki. And even Gyps members are like, whoa, that guy's a mastermind. Like, he's sort of like a genius. Like, why is he here? And he's an ex-Gyps member. So, he comes to Hibiki and he's like, Chief Hatsuin, bad news, buddy. I think you would be safer if you come with me. And that's where the episode ends. So, I definitely want to find out more about this character, who he is. His strength is obviously amazing, as far as his demon. And, he looks like, he may be sort of a, see, I don't want to give away too much, man. It looks like he may be sort of a main focus, or let me say a main problem for Hibiki's decisions in the future. Let me say it that way. Because you have Alcor, who's like, I used to be friends with Chief Hatsuin, but obviously something happened to make me go this way. And then you got Rolando, who's like, Chief Hatsuin is not good news. So you don't really know if it's Gyps that's being misled by some false leader who's actually, whose agenda is actually in line with the demons or not. You don't know what's going on with that. But overall, I just can't wait to see what's happening in episode 5. So, I did enjoy this episode. I'm going to give it 4 out of 5 stars. I really like the ending. I'm a big fan of Byakuo anyway. But overall, the episode was really good. It was paced at a timely manner. Everything just led up and led up. The demon being the main focus it didn't subtract away from the series at all, and I didn't really mind that certain characters weren't focused on in this episode, because it really wasn't about them. It was really about the growth of Hibiki and whether or not he would actually step up to not only accept his fate or his destiny as being this new protector of the world in some sorts, but whether or not he had the strength and will to actually get to that point and make that move to becoming a savior for humanity. So 4 out of 5 for me. This is Sean from 4JLU, 4 Geeks Like You. Stay tuned for more reviews, and I'll see you guys later. Peace. Have a good one.